Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Peak Design 30-liter travel backpack, which is a really sleek and expandable minimal travel bag. This is a part of Peak Design's recently updated travel collection. It's a smaller and more streamlined version of the larger 45-liter travel pack that we looked at a while back on the channel. So some really interesting updates and features here. I'm going to be talking in this video about my experience using it over the past couple of weeks. I'll show you how I've loaded it out, walk through all the features, and I'll also talk about how it compares to some of the other similar bags that are currently on the market. Before jumping into the video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel, we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the outside of the bag, as far as the aesthetic, this definitely has a pretty modern, sleek, and minimalistic vibe, very reminiscent of other Peak Design products that we featured on the channel, particularly the larger version of the travel backpack. Very similar aesthetic here. It's a clean look that feels like it's going to blend in well into a variety of environments, whether you're traveling, walking around the city, or even taking this into the office in a pinch. As far as the materials, the exterior is a 400D recycled nylon canvas, which feels like it's going to hold up pretty well to rougher usage. Peak Design's products always feel well built. On the bottom, you have a 900D fabric that's a little bit more reinforced and weather resistant for placing the bag down on the ground. One thing that I noticed about this fabric is that it does tend to get a little bit dirtier than some others that I've looked at. I've had to regularly wipe it. It also attracts hair from my dog pretty easily, so that's something that you want to keep in mind if you're a little more OCD about the aesthetic of your bags. And then you also have some well-protected zoom zippers all throughout. I haven't had as much experience with these zippers as I have with a YKK. However, with my experience with Peak Design bags and with this bag in particular, they've worked very well, very smooth, and it feels like they're going to hold up over the longer term. Continuing along the outside of the bag, I was happy to see that you have two external water bottle pockets, one on each side. These offer a decent amount of capacity. With the bag packed out, I was able to fit the same 20-ounce water bottle that I normally carry with me. It was a little bit hard to get it into the compartment when the bag was really full. It does have some elasticity, but it's not a ton, so that's something that you want to keep in mind. It is nice, however, that there's two, so if you want to use one for a tripod, one for your water bottle or an umbrella, that you have those options, and then because of the elasticity, when they're not in use, they hug the bag nicely. The bottom of the bag is pretty wide and flat, so one thing I noticed is that this does tend to stand up pretty well on its own, which is a good bonus when you're traveling or if you're using this, for working remotely. You can place this down next to you at a coffee shop or something like that and easily reach down and grab whatever you need. Along the exterior, you also have 4 grab handles, one on each side, on the top, and then on the bottom, which is always really nice for when you don't want to wear the bag on your back or for getting this into and out of an overhead storage compartment or a trunk. The handles, are not super robust. They have a little bit of padding and, they're not huge, but they do the job. This is not the type of bag that you'll likely be carrying, in briefcase mode too often, particularly when it's full. At the top, you have a little bit of a nicer handle. It has more of that seatbelt-like material that we've seen on a lot of Airs bags. And then you have the most simple handle down at the bottom, which is fine, as it's probably the one that you'll be using the least. But still nice to have that variety of places to grab the bag. And then on the front and on the sides, you have a few loops that pair with straps that Peak Design includes with the bag. So there's this little magnetic opening down at the bottom where you can store the flaps when they're not in use. You can pull them out. And this is always something that I've liked about Peak Design's bags. They usually include something like this to allow you to attach gear to the front of your bag. If you have a jacket, a yoga mat or something, a larger tripod, you can also, use them along the sides, again, to secure a tripod that's a little bit taller, or if you want to attach something on the side. I really love that you can move them around, that you can take them off if you don't want to use them and have a cleaner overall exterior. I am a little bit worried, however, when storing them in this compartment. This doesn't always feel like the most secure sort of compartment. As you can see, it does secure with the magnets, but I would be worried that as I was walking, if I was, running to chase a flight or a train or something like that, that they could potentially slip out. So I almost wish that maybe this had been more of a zipper. Regardless though, still kind of a really clever idea, and glad that the straps were actually included with the bag. Moving into the capacity, as the name says, this is the 30-liter travel backpack. According to Pack Hacker's review, to them it felt a little closer to 27 when it was compressed down. And to me, it feels like it's in that range. The way that companies measure volumes can sometimes get a little bit wonky. 30 liters can mean a few different things depending on which bag you're actually looking at, but 27 to 30 liters definitely feels like what this bag can hold. It's, very capable for minimal travel and for, a larger EDC if there's, more stuff that you need to carry with you on a daily basis. It feels a little big for what I typically like to use for my day-to-day. It's a very long bag, so if you're a little bit shorter, that's something that you want to keep in mind. I do like that even when it's packed out, it does maintain a pretty slim silhouette, which makes it great for navigating crowded areas, jumping onto public transit, and carrying onto most domestic and international airlines. And one of the interesting things about the capacity of this bag is that it also has the ability to expand out to 33 liters if you need a little bit more space, if you feel like you're gonna be traveling for some extra time, or you pick up some souvenirs when you're on the road, or even if you just wanna compress the bag down. It's really nice to have the flexibility that's provided by the zipper. It goes around and just, kind of gives you that extra capacity without making the bag feel overwhelmingly big. Moving into the straps and the back paneling, this is the area where I typically struggle most with Peak Design's bags. I've just not been a huge fan of their harnesses in the past. I was glad to see that it seems to have been improved here a little bit. The padding feels more comfortable in my opinion. It's a little bit thicker, kind of softer and more broken in right out of the box. On the inside, it feels pretty breathable. It's not quite, the air mesh fabric that gives you the most breathability, but it feels comfortable. I haven't noticed any issues. This area here at the top, however, feels a little bit thin in my opinion as far as the width. Definitely feels like you could start to feel some fatigue if you have this really packed out and you're wearing it over a longer period of time. Kind of wish they had just had the consistent width across the straps, but in general, it does feel more comfortable than the other Peak Design bags that I've used. So great to see some improvement there. You also have some Hypalon loops here on the strap to maybe attach something like your sunglasses or some of Peak Design's camera holder accessories. And then you have an adjustable sternum strap to help distribute the weight that has the kind of typical Peak Design hook system here, which works pretty well. It's not my favorite, but it does a good job of attaching firmly and giving you that extra bit of support. And then an interesting thing about the straps that we saw on the larger travel backpack is they have this sort of hinge system here at the top that allows the straps to rotate, and if you want to tuck them away, if you're carrying the bag onto a flight and you want to place it into an overhead storage compartment, you can get them in and out very easily. So a good implementation there, and you have a cleaner kind of look to the bag. And then when you want to pull them out, it's a very smooth process. So really interesting feature there. I normally just keep the straps out as I would be carrying the bag for the most part. However, you do on the back paneling have a nice handle that you can use to pick the bag up. It also works as a luggage pass-through if you want to rest this on a larger suitcase while traveling. And then the back paneling itself offers a decent amount of padding. This has felt pretty comfortable. I like that it also has a little bit of elevation and air channels. It's not super deep, and again, without the air mesh, my back still tended to get pretty sweaty, as it tends to happen with any bag of this size. But for the most part, this area felt comfortable even as I was wearing it with a heavier load. Last note that I'll mention while we're on the back is you have this hidden compartment here, which is going to be a good spot to put, some sort of ID tag. It has some Velcro so that you can place something in there, get it in and out easily. However, I noticed that when I really pack this bag out, this compartment gets very, very tight. I would also be worried about the Velcro maybe not securing all the way and any sort of ID card that I have in here falling out. It's still nice that that's included. It's a little bit more hidden in case you have, you want to keep your information a little bit more private. Jumping into the organizational options, this is probably the area that I struggled the most with this bag. I was very torn on this layout overall. It's very minimal. On the exterior, you just have one quick access pocket here at the top. So you have this whole large front of the bag, and it feels almost like you could have included an additional quick access pocket. The larger version of the travel backpack had that quick access one on the front. So it was a nice addition just to give you a little bit more flexibility. But that may just be personal preference as well. So just wanted to kind of call that out here on the front. This quick access compartment here is well implemented. It has, aqua guarded zipper, and it gives you a decent amount of volume. So even though you don't have as many options, it does provide you with space to hold even some bulkier accessories that you might want to carry with you. It's also very easy, again, when the bag is standing, to reach down and access this area. And just floating in this compartment, what I currently have here are my sunglasses with their case. Then I also have my GoPro, and on the inside you have some internal organization to help keep your smaller items easier to find. So you have a series of slip pockets here on the back. In this one here on the right, I have my Apple Magic Mouse, and then in the middle you have a thinner one that's going to be a good spot for a pen, a stylus, or a multi-tool, flashlight in this case. And all the way on the left, I just have my Belkin battery bank for my phone. I do like the material that's used in these pockets. It has a little bit of give, so if you have something thicker, it should fit in there. It also feels soft, so it's going to offer some protection against scratching. And then you have a zippered compartment, which is good for smaller accessories, in my opinion, just to make them a little bit easier to find. In this one, I just have my Apple AirPods, and then I tossed in a lightning cable to help charge my tablet and my phone. And on the back of this compartment, which is something that I didn't really use too much as I'm not doing a ton of photography, not enough to merit this many sort of memory cards here. These slots seem to be meant specifically for that use case, maybe for some batteries. Probably get away with using it for other smaller accessories, but in general, I just kind of left them and they stayed out of the way. Moving into the main compartment, you have a very burly zipper here that feels like it's going to be able to handle the rigors of the road very well. Aqua guarded. On the zipper pulls here, you have the Peak Design sort of a locking system that allows you to tie the zipper pulls together just to make it a little bit harder for pickpockets to get into the bag. So always a nice touch that Peak Design has had that. And this is a clamshell style opening, and this is another one of the issues that I had with the bag, and this may just be personal choice, so I'll definitely be curious to hear what you all think in the comments. So clamshell style bags, I've noticed you can either have the clamshell be more kind of towards the back or towards the front. So in this case, the capacity and the way that everything is laid out, it makes more sense to lay the bag down on its front so that you can open the bag up and access everything. But there's also clamshell style bags like the Air Travel Pack, for example, where it makes more sense to place it on the straps, and then it has a smaller flap that kind of comes up, and the majority of the volume is concentrated towards the back, which I actually prefer. I really don't like having to place the bag face down onto, areas where it could potentially cause damage. It just feels like a strange system, in my opinion. Some of the Peter McKinnon nomadic backpacks have also done this. I don't know if this is something that's more common in bags that are more photography focused, if there's any advantage or disadvantage. I haven't really been able to kind of come up with a particular reason why it's one or the other. I just know that I personally prefer the other method where to me it just feels a little bit easier to get into the bag. And so you do have a lot of capacity with this clamshell style. You can, fit it with an unexpected amount of stuff, in my opinion, just due to the simpler layout. I was actually surprised how much I was able to fit. And this is with the bag compressed, so I still have 3 more liters that I could play with if I really wanted to. But with the items that I had here, I was able to pack it out for at least a week of travel. I could probably actually travel for a little bit longer with what I currently have. So diving in, I have a compressible packing cube from Nomadic. I have my DOP kit, I have an additional pair of shoes that I normally like to have with me, some Toms, and then down at the bottom I have my larger double-sided and compressible packing cube. Now the compartment empty, you can get a better look at the inside. So pretty simple layout, big bucket of space. This would also work well for my day-to-day if I wanted to toss in some of my pouches, my headphones, my standing desk, all the items that I would normally use for, a day out at the office or exploring the city. Put some camera stuff in there. You have a lot of space to actually organize your stuff and use this as a daily bag. On the inside, you'll notice you also have a variety of attachment points on the bottom, along the sides, which pair well with Peak Design's camera cubes. If you want to use it with that, also with their packing cubes, this is meant to fit all of their ecosystem very, effectively. So if you're in the ecosystem, that'll probably be a bonus of using this bag. And then again, another challenge in my opinion with the organization is the way that this is laid out, because everything is meant to kind of, sit face down when you open the bag. It is really difficult to access these pockets effectively when you have the bag loaded out. So you're opening it, you kind of have to dig around everything that's on the inside, and at that point you can really only access this top zippered compartment somewhat. So I actually left this one on the bottom empty. You do have, the ability to use it to store stuff that you might not access as regularly. I like that it also has a mesh so you can see what's on the inside, but again, I left it empty as it would kind of cause bulging for the items that I would store here, and it's just going to be very difficult to access. You have zippered compartments on each side, which are great for smaller accessories. I was able to somewhat access these when the bag was full, but again, it was a little bit uncomfortable and would probably be resolved if you were able to open the bag from the other direction. At least that's my hypothesis. So in this one here, I have a deck of cards, which I always like to have with me. And then on the one on the right, which is a similar size, I just have some Band-Aids. And then at the top here, you have an additional zippered pocket, good amount of volume on this. So if you have pouches, if you want to use it for toiletries, or even to store some gloves, socks, underwear, you'll have some flexibility with the volume that's provided. In my case, in the moment, I just have a little pouch. This is the Ghost Whale Organizer Tom Bin, just some smaller EDC and tech items. And then I also have the little manicure set that I typically like to carry with me. The last area that we're going to be taking a look at is the laptop compartment, and this does offer a padded sleeve that is suspended off the bottom of the ground, so that's always a big plus to give you that peace of mind when you place the bag down. A little bit harder, you have a Velcro strap here to help keep your device in place. This is the type of thing which may have been called TSA approved at one point. Chances are you'll still have to get your device in and out and place it in a bin, but you have this strap to keep it in place when you open the bag up. And this is a big compartment. It's definitely gonna be able to hold a 15 or a 16-inch laptop comfortably. On the inside, you also have a Velcro slip pocket, which can kind of work as a tablet area. It's not very padded or anything like that, but it does separate the two devices so they're not rubbing against each other, which I like, and then you have the benefits of the protection of the rest of the sleeve. So in my case, I have my iPad mini, which fit comfortably. I'm guessing you can still fit a larger tablet in here as well. With the bag packed out, you will probably start to feel this getting a little bit tight, so that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. But as far as the amount of space that's offered here, you can see my 13-inch laptop is getting swallowed up there pretty good. Now with the sleeve empty, you can get a better look at the inside, and this does come up a decent amount, so if you happen to have a thicker device, you should be able to fit it in here okay, particularly if you don't try to place a tablet in at the same time. So with the amount of padding and the fact that this is suspended, it feels like my device is gonna be well protected while I'm running around throughout the day. And with this main area and the layout of the bag, as mentioned, I was a little bit torn. I can definitely see some of the value that people would find, particularly if you're in the Peak Design ecosystem. It can hold a lot of stuff. The bag looks great, it's well built. And if some of these trade-offs don't bother you and you just need a really reliable and good looking minimal travel bag, then this is gonna be a great option to consider. And so to wrap up, it's been a pretty good experience testing out the Peak Design 30-liter travel backpack over the past couple of weeks. You can currently purchase this on the company's site or sites such as Amazon for about $230, which is definitely a bit of an investment. It is a well-built bag with some interesting features. However, there's also gonna be some other great bags to consider in this price range. And so as I was testing this out, the first bag this made me think of is the Able Carry Max, which is another 30-liter minimal travel bag that has a great build quality, very sleek. I really love the organizational layout that has. Great laptop protection. It has a more comfortable harness system. In my opinion, I really like the pocketing layout better on that one than this one. There's just some extra options. It doesn't have the expandability that this has, but feature-wise, it's very, very similar. It comes in a really nice X-Pack fabric, YKK zipper. So if you're looking for a similarly styled bag that's gonna give you some more flexibility with how you can organize your stuff, and that's gonna be a great option to consider. The next bag this made me think of is the Air Travel Pack 3 Small, which has quickly become one of my favorite minimal travel bags that can also work for EDC. It is a little bit larger at 28 liters, but I just love the organizational layout on that bag, the build quality, the sleek aesthetic that Air typically has on their bags. They've just done some really great job improving it with this latest iteration, comfortable harness system. I was recently able to carry that onto Spirit Airlines as a personal item, so just really kind of flexible in all the different ways that you can use it. Comes in at a fairly similar price point, so if you're looking for something in this size range that's gonna give you plenty of comfort, pocketing, and is gonna hold up well to pretty much any environment, that's gonna be a fantastic option to consider. Another bag this made me think of is the North Face Surge backpack, which definitely has a little bit of a different vibe. It's more outdoorsy and technical. It's got a lot of pockets and webbing, definitely not the sort of sleek exterior that this has. It's also a top-loading bag as opposed to a clamshell style backpack, but it has one of the most comfortable harness systems that I've used. It feels like it's gonna give you a lot of flexibility with, being able to organize and access all of your stuff. It has pockets for everything, great laptop protection, it's able to hold an impressive amount of stuff. good weather resistance. It also comes in at a lower price point, so if you're looking for a reliable and spacious bag that's going to work well for EDC or minimal travel, that's going to be a fantastic option to take a look at as well. And then the last option that I'll mention here is the Knappack Series 2, which is another great expandable bag. Like this one, it gives you a little bit of flexibility as far as the capacity, but I really love how that one actually, shrinks down to a very capable daily bag size, 17 to 20 liters, so really comfortable to use just for your day-to-day to go to the office. But then it expands all the way out past 30 liters to be able to work for the same type of travel that you would be able to use this bag for. So it's able to hold a lot. It has a really nice professional aesthetic that's gonna work well with a nicer outfit. You can walk around the city. Great for work travel. It's well built. The harness system on that is pretty similar to this. It has good laptop protection, just a lot of different organizational options. And so if you're looking for something that's gonna give you some more flexibility with the capacity that might work a little bit better as a daily bag, then something like this, and that's gonna be a great option to consider. With that being said, the Peak Design 30-liter travel backpack holds up pretty well against all those options. And if you're looking for a well-built bag that's gonna give you a little bit of flexibility to work for minimal travel while still being a larger capacity EDC backpack, or if you're in the Peak Design ecosystem of accessories and you want something that's gonna combine well with their camera cubes, with their packing cubes and whatnot, this is gonna be a pretty good option to consider. And I'm definitely curious to hear what you all think of the Peak Design 30-liter travel backpack and how it compares to some of the other similar options that we've looked at in the past. And if there are any similar options that you think I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I want to thank you again for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.